Hello YouTube. Today I'm going to modify the foot pedals on my Inmotion V11. Thought I'd share my idea and what I'm doing other than buying new foot plates. These are the original that come with the machine. I'm going to do it so that I can use it on both. I want to drop the angle, which is about 15 degrees. It's a little harsh on the feet, especially the outside of my foot anyway. So I wanted to maybe knock off 10 degrees or at least split it down to like 7 degrees and try that. I was gonna modify the pedal, shave some down here, but that would probably compromise the integrity of the pedal. I don't want to do that. So instead I'm going to do the mounting block. This is easy to get off of the machine. Let me bring you over here. So these would go here. Easy to take off. 6 bolts. You pull the side panel off first. Then you'll be able to get at the hidden bolts that are in this. Remove this. You're going to want to, or need to be a little handy in the shop. Have a table saw. At least I use a table saw. As you can see, I've shaved this down here. Probably 3/30 seconds, maybe even close to 1/8 inch. I maintained the same plane that was there. I didn't change the angle, I just took some down. So I'm not changing any of the structural integrity. This is just a prop for the pedal stopper. It's not going to compromise the integrity of the block. So let me show you what I did. Over here. Not sure if this is going to work. Let's see. Okay, so with the block off of the machine, I determined sitting like this, that this plane, the one that I cut, is almost 90 degrees to the surface that it's sitting on, which makes this easier. So I made a little sled, 90 degrees, attached to the miter gauge. This is going to sit in the sled. The surface that I'm going to cut is almost going to be flush. Of course, I made this jig longer than it is, and I cut it off when it went through the saw. So this is pretty close to the blade the way it's set up. I drilled a hole here, 3/8 hole, to line up with this through hole here. When it was lined up with the edge of the sled here, that's where I drilled my hole. This is just going to help secure it onto the sled, so I don't have to worry about it. Because it's 3/8, the bolt is 1/4. I have plenty of wiggle room forward and back. Okay, as I shave this down 30 seconds at a time, I can bump it out, bump it out, bump it out, take a little more off as I go. So I'm going to square it up roughly there. Just give it a snug. Make sure it's seated all the way down. Now the important thing here is you want to run this through dry, because you're going to want to make sure that this plane is in line with your blade. So in other words, at this position, you want to be perfectly square or perpendicular to the blade. You could start out by maybe, instead of cutting a little off the block here, use a scrap piece of wood until you know that it's nice and square. On my miter gauge, by nature, there's a little side-to-side play in this channel slot, as in most table saws. But by default, I always hold or twist my gauge clockwise. Then I run it through and square it up. So there's never any backlash. I've always taken the backlash out of the miter gauge as I'm running it through. So once you've determined that the block on the sled is now square and you're confident, you're going to want to take, my blade is not 90 degrees. I determined I liked 4 degrees. 4 degrees with the blade, assuming you're cutting on the right side of the blade, you're going to want the blade to be tilted this way, sort of like what the block looks like. You're going to be tilted this way, 4 degrees. And I'll show you what that looks like on that, but I've got that set on the saw. Also too, move this camera. So, as you can see, 4 degrees. That's what I settled on. So it's 4 degrees this way. Also too, which was super helpful, scrap piece of wood in the sled, squared up. Then I was able to draw reference marks with a pencil. You could use a razor blade, whatever you want to do. Just as a reference, pencil it off. That way you'll know where your final finish run through was. You know, I took off increments of like 64ths at a time until I wound up where I liked. I kept testing it. Take the block, mount the plate back on it, see what you come up with for an angle, and just keep moving slowly until you get where you want to get. And then once you've finally determined that you're satisfied with how much you took off, that's when you'd want to make a pencil mark here using this scrap piece of wood. That way on your next block that you're going to take down, you'll know that by the time you get to your finished run through that you're going to be on that reference mark that you made for yourself. Just a few little tips. And I think that's about it. I want the spiked pedals or the grip tape pedals. Not yet anyway. I'm not sure which ones I want. But it's going to work with both. These spike pedals, get some kind of a pointer here. These spike pedals, when they are in the open position, seated, just the corner of the pedal rides here. And on these grip tape pedals, the contact surface is more down here. I took off enough compromise so that it will work with both style pedals at approximately 7 degrees, as opposed to the 14 degrees that they arrived from the factory. And I might take more off, but at least I want to test it out at 7 degrees, see what I think. I mean, eventually I want to buy those nylon pedals that are angle adjustable out of Europe, but they're like $270 shipped. But for now, this will serve the purpose for those of you who want to try. And I think that's about it. These are my jump blocks. These go like so. Right here. These are adjustable too. They're kind of set up the way I like them right now. They're really comfortable. They got foam inside, soft. They look cool. I'm not going to keep them. They're just temporary. Just something I wanted to make happen. Stole them off of my you-know-where. Okay, finished result. Foot plates, foot pedals dropped 10 degrees. They came in at 75 degrees. I took 10 degrees off of them. So they're at 95 now. Sorry, 85. Tried it out. Oh, so much more comfortable. So much more comfortable.